Hey guys, it's Marsha and welcome to Really Seriously For Real. So it was time for the big ball, but Cinderfella had two people vying for his attention. But something wicked this way comes. Yeah, let's discuss. If you are at all disappointed with any of the previous episodes, I find it doubtful that you would be after this one. I was oohing and eyeing and ducking and covering and giggles galore when they weren't freaking me out. Yes, this episode before the season finale gave us the old Outlander again, full of danger, mystery, and intrigue. A good old love triangle and old favorites. But first, let's rewind a bit back to the beginning. Back when young Ian and the treasure were taken from Silky Island. It had been so long I'd almost forgotten. It was then we learned that he would be taken to see the Bakra, or boss. Upon arrival in Jamaica, he is first thrown in a cell with two other prisoners. One of the boys says that several boys had come and gone, never to return once they saw the Bakra. Cut to Ian being taken to a room and the reveal of a slender and bloodied leg reaching into the air, and the unmistakable sound of Galis Duncan's voice. My, how we have terrifyingly upgraded Galis. She slyly questions Ian about what she would call her treasure box. She sent her men to Silky Island to retrieve it. We would learn that Dougal hid the box there along with 3 blue jewels, although she was saying that one is missing. As you would recall, Jamie gave one of those jewels to Lord John Grey after he returned from looking for Claire while he was incarcerated at Ardsmuir Prison. She asked Ian about the missing jewel, assuming he took it, all while filling him up with sweets and tea specially made to make him tell the truth. Although seriously, would this kid really need help? He embodies the phrase, loose lips. So now, Galis knows that Jamie is his uncle. Lot Verbeek was just masterful in her portrayal of Galis. She would have an eye movement so slight and so cunning, it was eerie. She nailed maintaining her hypnotic sexual power over Ian. Even though she's wicked evil times 11 this season, she was oh so good. When Ian inquires with her what happens with the boys she sees, Galis casually and matter-of-factly says she has her way with them because virgins have power inside of them, and after that she has no use for them. Ian remarks he's not a virgin, another call back to Edinburgh where he bedded a young lady at the print shop before it burned down. Let's fast forward to present day, and the Artemis has landed in Jamaica seemingly ahead of the Porpoise. Jamie and Claire meet Kenneth McCarver after they disembark. His employer is Jamie's cousin Jared, who owns the Artemis. We saw him several episodes back before they boarded. Kenneth assists them with finding lodging, and when they queried about the vessel carrying Ian, the Brucia, Kenneth states it has already come and gone, though they should inquire down at the slave market if they may know anything. Alright, now this portion was indeed the hard part. Claire walking through the quote-unquote market, slaves lined up in cages ready to be auctioned for anything from hard labor to beyond. And to say it was a tough pill to swallow was the understatement of the year. I certainly felt the same knot in the pit of my stomach that Claire must have felt, especially knowing that my own ancestors would have suffered this similar fate. Claire finally had enough and lashed out at one of the directors of evil and pleaded for Jamie to help the man on the stage. Unfortunately, this meant buying him, and in Claire's name, knowing they would release him when possible though. Jamie and Claire have learned that many slaves unloaded from the Brucia were taken to the governor's mansion, and the new governor would be having a party that night, and thanks to Kenneth, they have a proper invite. So, the plan is that Tamaraire would query other slaves and see if they knew anything about Ian. Jamie and Claire would do the same inside. But first, Claire sees Archibald Campbell at the door. We learned earlier that Gaylis is the wealthy client he was referring to back when Claire had met him in Edinburgh. Though Claire doesn't know this. Gaylis told him all 3 sapphires were needed in order for Margaret to see the prophecy, something that poor Margaret is not fond of. They all find themselves online waiting to meet this new governor, and the show, it continues to make me glad to live now because a woman giggles in delight over Mr. Willoughby and the fact that he's Asian. She questions, is he genuine? Though Mr. Willoughby was quite happy for all the attention from these women. However, he was instead captivated by Margaret Campbell from across the room, where he also noted Archibald's foul treatment of her. In a sweet and intense moment online between Claire and Jamie as they waited to meet the governor, they smile warmly at Fergus and Marcelle's open exchange of affection, noting their own carefree displays in the past. They get lost in each other as they remember the fire that originally ignited them, their gaze broken only by Claire's nervous exhale. Then, up ahead, Jamie sees none other than Lord John Grey. Ooh, I love a good party. And the look on John's face when he saw Jamie. And then when Jamie introduced Claire, which John promptly states, I thought she was dead. Yes, John, this is a long story indeed. Lord John asked them to follow them into another room. The camera pans to follow the group and reveals Gaylis is also there as well. Now, in the other room, John nearly gives Jamie a big hug, clearly forcing himself to remain composed, but that's like asking Jamie to be composed around Claire. Jamie immediately inquires about Willie, who will join John there soon with Isabel when it's easier to travel. It was an interesting moment, one that I could have imagined would be the meeting somewhat if Claire, Jamie, and Frank were in the room together. Could you imagine that? The attraction emitted from Lord John to Jamie was strong, and Jamie's draw to him as more of an intensely strong friendship, if not more. And Claire looking on at them both as only a spectator was so awkward. There were just so many levels there. Many book readers were disappointed not to see Lord John on the porpoise, but for them to meet this way, ew, it was really delicious. We also see that John wears the sapphire that Jamie gave him. He tells Jamie it was to remember their friendship. The wheels that must have been turning in Claire's head. It must have only turned harder once John and Claire had a moment to chat at the drink table. I myself had a drink in hand and was lapping it up during their exchange. They reminisced on the good old days before the war and then gave us a perfectly situated dialogue that I could have watched on repeat. That sure is a striking sapphire. Jamie really gave that to you? Yup. But he surrendered it after looking for you, and here you are. Yup. Sure is nice to finally meet his true love. Sucks for me. Obviously, I've taken my liberties here, but that's close. Maybe we would have got some more out of this conversation if Gaylis didn't lure Claire away. In all the gin joints in all the towns in the world, she says. Gaylis explains that she stayed in the hole after the trial for 3 months because the baby she was carrying was innocent and could not be executed along with Gaylis. After childbirth, Dougal came for the baby and hid Gaylis, replacing her with another cloaked woman who would burn in her place. She eventually married a man named Abernathy, who died some time ago. Married to Gaylis. I wonder how he died. Anywho, the Black Widow promised to let Claire know if she hears anything about Ian, obviously lying to her. They find Jamie inside chatting with John, and Gaylis notices the sapphire, nearly breaking character with them as she yanks it away to view. Returning it to him, she finds Archibald and tells him to do readings at the party. Margaret, who was meditating outside, had a visit from Mr. Willoughby, who tells her her brother does not treat her as she deserves. To avoid any poor pronunciations in Chinese, he calls her a flower from heaven. Which you could have called me Sebastian, because I was ready to break out into song with Kiss the Girl from The Little Mermaid. So cute. And I was so happy that two people so deserving of happiness could find each other in that moment. We'll see how that goes. Later, Archibald forces Margaret to do the reading as Galus manipulates Lord John to hand over the sapphire to do the reading. That, along with the other two sapphires, Margaret states the prophecy. When twice 1,200 moons have coursed between man's attack and the woman's curse, and when the issue is cut down, then will a Scotsman wear a crown. So basically, a 200-year-old baby must die before the next Scottish king can be crowned. Do the math and it can only be Brianna, though Galus doesn't know that. While Fergus and Marcelly were snuggling outside, they see Captain Leonard arrive, and he didn't look like he was there to party either. Claire and Jamie get out of there and find Tamaraire. He says Ian was taken to the Abernathy estate. Jamie did say Galus was wicked. Tamaraire also says that there are escaped slaves that live in the mountains, as we also know because Father Fogden mentioned that last episode. They race over there and say their farewells to Tamaraire. They turn to get back into the carriage, and then, of course, Captain Leonard was able to find them. Surprise! Jamie passes the kids' photos to Claire, and Claire reminds Leonard very forcefully that they would all be dead if it weren't for her. A true statement, but at the same time, he has a job to do, nevertheless. And he always has guards with him. He couldn't just let Jamie go without jeopardizing his own life. This episode kind of moved at lightning pace, which was a bit annoying at times, considering how slow and plodding previous episodes have been. A lot was going on, and I wish I could have saw more, but overall, I was still pleased. So much richer than past episodes, and I'm a sucker for old favorites any day, i.e. Lord John Grey, as dapper and delicious as ever, and Galus, scarily sinful, and a huge shout out to Mr. Willoughby, man of the hour, who arguably had the sweetest scene with Margaret, which I much rather preferred, because show Mr. Willoughby deserves some happiness. But what did you think about the episode? Were you shocked by the way they brought Galus back? And what did you think of the conversation between Lord John and Claire? How do you think Jamie will get out of this one? I mean, come on. He can never stay in jail for too long, right? Comment down below. And be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching. Until next time, guys.